Okay, Vinay, so let's get started without any further ado. Before we do so, a quick formal introduction on my name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'll be your cybersecurity trainer for this entire duration of the course. I've been working in this domain of cybersecurity for the last 6+ years, and I've been training students on this course, Certified Ethical Hacking, and a few other courses on cybersecurity for the last 5 years or so. Okay, and this course, Certified Ethical Hacking version 13, is from this organization called EC Council, and again a globally recognized organization for trainings and certifications in the same domain. And this course CH is the first step that is again taken up by students to enter this world of cybersecurity. Okay, when we talk about this course, certified ethical hacking, a lot of students have a misconception that hacking and ethical hacking are one and the same thing. So let's start this demo with the clarification of what is hacking and what is ethical hacking and how they're different from one another. And what we're going to learn in this course, what topics will we be covering, what tools we'll be working on, and what are the roles and responsibilities of an ethical hacker or a penetration tester. Job roles that you would be applying for: ethical hacker, penetration tester, security consultant, or IT security administrator. These are all the job roles that you can apply for once this course is again completed. Okay. So firstly, when we talk about hacking, this here is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. When I say that phrase, gaining access to information systems, it means basically we are trying to gain access to devices, okay, such as mobile phones or computers or even databases or web servers without the permission or without the knowledge of the person or the organization owning them. Okay. And this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit. Once they've gotten access to that device, they can steal the data, they can destroy the data, or they can exfiltrate and download the data remotely and sell it to other people. Okay. And sometimes hackers are so mischievous they can even do it just for fun. So to read out the definition, hacking is a procedure of trying to gain access to information systems without the permission and without the knowledge of the organization or the person owning those devices. And this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit. As mentioned, once they've gotten access to the data, they can again sell it to other online third parties as well. Again, this is also done sometimes just by hackers for fun or for the thrill of it. Okay. Now, if hacking is such a malicious task, why do we have a course called ethical hacking? And how is this getting ethical in the first place? To define ethical hacking, this is a procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. This terminology called vulnerability is something that will keep coming across a lot in the upcoming sessions as well. To define it, it's a loophole, it's a flaw in the security of the information system. Okay, and basically these vulnerabilities are what hackers look for to basically exploit and get access to the systems. So your job in ethical hacking is to find these vulnerabilities or loopholes in the information systems or the misconfigurations in these devices which allow hackers to perform hacking in the first place. And once we find these vulnerabilities, we report it back to the company and we also provide the solution as well so that these vulnerabilities can be patched up and no other hacker can take advantage of them or exploit them and cause any further harm. So in ethical hacking, you're trying to protect the organization from the so-called hackers by replicating the same procedure as hackers by trying to find the vulnerabilities and reporting it back. Rather than exploiting them, rather than taking advantage of them, we report it back with the solutions to prevent that exploitation from happening in the first place. Okay. So depending on these two definitions, you can categorize the types of hackers as well. There's three main categories: someone known as a white hat hacker, then a gray hat hacker, and a black hat hacker. Your white hat hackers are basically the people, penetration testers or ethical hackers who abide with laws and policies of the company. They work for securing the organization infrastructure, and they're basically trying to protect, okay, the organization from these so-called cyber criminals, which are the black hat hackers. Black hat hackers are people who perform hacking for their own benefit or for fun without asking for consent. And in between, there's a third mysterious category called grey hat hackers. So these are people who again have both the qualities of black hat as well as white hat. Like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first, but once they find a vulnerability, they report it back to the company for a bounty. Bounty is like a financial reward they expect in return for reporting that vulnerability without misusing it. Okay, so therefore they're working both offensively and defensively at various times, hence they're called as grey hat hackers. Okay. They're also commonly known as bug bounty hunters, hunting for bugs in return for a bounty. Okay. Now, depending on again, what hacker you are, you'll either perform it basically for protecting the organization or basically stealing information from the organization or harming the organization's infrastructure. And no matter what category of hacker you are, the procedure to do so is very similar. This procedure is called as cyber kill chain, or sometimes it's also referred to as the hacking cycle. So this procedure allows hackers to basically follow and perform a successful cyber attack. Okay. And the knowledge of this procedure also allows cybersecurity professionals to understand how these attacks are being performed, how do you detect them at the earliest time possible, prevent them at every level in the organization, and see to it that no other harm is caused. Okay. So the procedure to attack or defend is very similar because unless and until you know what kind of threats are possible, what kind of attacks are possible, you would not know what remediations to apply, with security measures to place. Okay. And this cyber culture consists of five important steps in it. There's something called as information gathering, there's something called as scanning, there's something called gaining access, maintaining access, and reporting or clearing traces. These are the five steps involved in the cyber kill chain. Very simple procedure. Again, this was same procedure built by the US military in the late 19 or I would say 90, but at least in the late or early 2000s, I would say. Again, and this has been modified over the years according to the again advancements in technology and the devices and the protocols. Okay, so every year there's a latest version with latest tools and latest techniques for the latest vulnerabilities or attacks, okay? And the older ones are redacted. Okay. So, but the technique has remained the same. You perform something called information gathering first, then scanning, then gaining access, then maintaining access, and then reporting on clearing traces. Okay. So the first step we have here is called information gathering. And the main objective for information gathering, which is also commonly known as reconnaissance or footprinting, is to gather as much data as possible about the target organization. And an important point to note here is all this information is obtained passively from third-party sources. Okay. So again, the main question that arises is what information are we looking for here in the first place? And this here is the information as follows. You need the IP address information, the who's records, the DNS records, the domains and subdomains, operating system information, employee details, contact numbers, email addresses, usernames, and passwords. Believe it or not, all of this information is readily available on the internet. The only thing is you need to know what those resources are, what those websites are, from where we can obtain this data. And now, after this information has been obtained, it is utilized in the next phase, which is called as scanning. So this is called as enumeration as well. And the objective here is to get some extra data, but by active measures. Earlier, we got the data passively. Here, we make direct connections with the target and get some extra data. To understand what that data is, we can divide scanning in three parts. There's network scanning first, where we try to figure out what their internal network topology is. What devices are they using? What routers do they have? What servers do they have? What firewalls do they have? Like how many client operating system desktops do they have? What again different types of servers do they have? Okay. Do they have any security measures, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems? So getting to know their internal network topology is called as network scanning. Once you know what devices are available, on those devices you perform something called port scanning, figuring out what ports are open and what services are running on those ports. And then finally, we have something called vulnerability scanning to find what vulnerabilities exist in their services that can be exploited. So it's a step-by-step procedure. You're finding the devices first. On the devices, you're performing port scanning to figure out what services are running. And on those services, you look for vulnerabilities to attack on. Okay. So during this module, we'll be working on two very important tools. One is called Tenable Nessus, and the other one is called Nmap. Nmap is completely open source. Again, it's one of the best tools available for performing network and port scanning, used in every single organization. Okay, and been there since a very long time, at least I think 1997. And its source code is still used in a lot of commercial applications as well. And the other tool we have is Tenable Nessus. Now, this is not open source in any way. It's quite an expensive tool. If you scroll down, it's around $7,500. That too for 1 year subscription. Okay, but again, as mentioned, luckily there's a trial version for this. We don't need to purchase any tool. We can still learn how to use this from the trial version itself. How do you perform vulnerability scanning? How do you generate reports out of it? How do you verify those reports? We'll learn all that from Tenable lessons. And then comes gaining access, the phase where the real hacking occurs. So this is basically where attackers are going to use the vulnerabilities found in the earlier phases to attack a system or an application or the entire network. So this is the core of the subject, covers a vast variety of topics. I know these all might sound a bit gibberish, okay, but the main agenda here is to attack every single endpoint. We talk about system security. How do you hack or basically bypass system authentications and crack the passwords for systems? We talk about malware attacks. What are malwares? What category of malwares exist? How do you create malwares? How do you defend your system from malwares? And how do you detect them if they're already installed on your system? What is network pen testing? What are the common attacks possible in a network? Sniffing attack, man in the middle attack, denial of service attack, hacking Wi-Fi routers, cracking the password for Wi-Fi routers. All of this falls under network pen testing. Then comes social engineering. How do hackers create exact replicas of any web page on the internet? Okay. How do they create again exact replicas or duplicates of again bank login pages or employee login pages or again social media pages? How do they perform phishing attacks, steal the credentials of users? Then hacking web servers or web applications on the backend or on the front end on website. Again, finding vulnerabilities like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication. Might sound a bit gibberish right now, but these are vulnerabilities that commonly exist on the front end of the website. Then how do you attack firewalls? How do you bypass firewalls if they have any misconfigurations on them? How do you perform vulnerability assessment? How do you assess every single vulnerability on the system shown by the tool enable lessons? Or how do you attack mobile phones? So again, the main objective here is to attack every single endpoint, as small as a mobile phone to as big as a web application server or a database or the cloud environment. How do you attack systems? Again, system security is discussed, network security is discussed, wireless security is discussed, web application security or web server security is discussed, firewall security is discussed, and mobile phone security as well. Every single endpoint that could possibly exist in an organization. And once you've learned how to attack every single system, then we learn how to maintain access as well. Maintaining access is where once I've gotten a connection to your system, I need to retain it no matter what. Even if you restart your system, I should still be connected to you. So that is called as maintaining access. And finally, we have reporting or clearing traces, where we learn as ethical hackers. Once you have performed the attack successfully, how do you generate a POC, proof of concept, where the company can replicate it and verify it as well? Okay. How do you generate the report? How do you elaborate the loopholes, the procedure performed, and how do you, again, what solutions to apply as well? That is all reporting on ethical hackers part. On the other hand, if you're a cyber criminal, you don't report anything. You remove the evidence of your actions. So that is by basically deleting the logs and staying anonymous. So again, we'll be learning the entire course in these two tracks. How do you perform the attacks first as a cyber criminal? And how do you detect those same attacks as an ethical hacker? What are the solutions to apply to prevent these threats? The entire course is going to follow the same exact curriculum as the EC Council organization. So if you go to your browser, search for EC Council, click on the first link, click on train and certify, select CEH. These are the modules we'll be covering. Same exact modules that are shown in the official website here. Attacking every single endpoint, learning security of every single device over here. Yeah. And again, this is a course for the duration of 35 days where we have classes from Monday to Friday, every day for 1 hour each. Okay, each classes will be recorded. These presentation slides, these documents will be shared with the student. And again, every class, as mentioned, will be shared with the student as a recording on the Google Drive directly. We have demos from Wednesday, if I'm not wrong, Vinay. So you can join the first class of the course actually from Wednesday itself. Those will be demos itself from Wednesday to Friday. And the registered link will start from next week onwards after that, the week after next week. Okay. So, yeah, that's it. Again, if you have any questions also, you can let me know. Vinay.
What is the fees now?
Oh, the fees is priced at 10,000 rupees, which can be paid in two installments. And again, for any details regarding the fees, you can contact these numbers given in the chat box. Just a second. No, I don't think they've placed any numbers here. Or you can actually visit the DurgaSoft official website as well. DurgaSoft online. DURGASOFT online or DURGASOFT solution. And these are the numbers you can contact for any further queries regarding the fees or for the payment as well. They'll provide you the QR code or the bank account details to make the payment. I think you can make it in 2 installments, 5,000 each. So you can confirm that with the institute.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions, Vinay?
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you for joining the session today. We'll connect back soon. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.